Okay, Mayor, we're good to
All
go.
right, you hit record.
Yeah.
All right, welcome again, everyone. It's so good to see you. Most of your faces are visible. So here we are. Today we're going to talk about listening. But before we do that, I do want people who only watch us on video on the internet, just be aware that you're invited to join us live because Chris and I both flow energy through the meditation. And if you're interested, just send an email to me, Marilyn, INN@msn.com. We'd love to have you join the group. We meet every other Sunday morning. So today when I turned on the TV, the newscaster said today is, in the United States, Pay a Compliment Day. I thought that was very funny because we're talking about listening. And how often do we pay compliments unexpectedly? So we're going to talk a little bit about that, but I'm going to turn this over to Chris. She's going to start this session and we'll go from there.
All right, everybody, welcome and thank you once again for choosing to join us to learn about self-love. We fundamentally teach that everything, every act, every thought, every moment of our life is a moment of choice about how we love ourselves. And our teaching is premised on the simple truth that each of us is perfect as we are. And that is encapsulated on earth by the word God, that each of us is God. Each of us is perfect and magnificent as we are. And in looking at our physical lives, a very big part of our physical lives is listening. And many people wonder about wanting to be able to hear their inner voice more clearly, because most of us have moments where we've heard our inner voice. It could be a moment where we think it was deja vu, or it was a dream, or some moment. But many people want to hear that inner voice all the time. And the fundamental understanding to help you awaken that inner voice is understanding that the world that you walk in, everything that you hear, is your inner voice. It is you speaking to you. It is you communicating to you about how you're choosing to love yourself. That is what our whole physical life is about learning to look at how we love ourselves, to understand the choices we're making relative to accepting ourselves as perfect, as good enough. And in that self-acceptance, experiencing peace and then experiencing joy. So the key here to awakening the inner voice is really to pay attention to everything. Every word you hear, the way it is spoken, matters. When I work one-on-one, when I work with clients one-on-one, all I need to do is just stand in the presence of what they're sharing and listen to the words that they're choosing. Because those words matter. They're not an accident. When someone chooses something that seems like an odd word, it actually is your heart, your soul, trying to communicate, trying to get you to hear something. Just this week in our business, we had a meeting where I was sharing for some of our instructors messages that students had left for them. And there was this very odd message. We run one of our businesses is a driving school. We teach people how to drive. And one of the messages, the person shared, said thank you to the instructor, but then use the word humanity in saying something about I appreciated and the word humanity was used in a very odd way. And what I said when I talked to our team, it's not an accident. That person was speaking to her about how she is in the world and used the word humanity. She is living with her humanity, being very aware to the world. So, what I would encourage each of you to do is choose a time of day, because we're so untrained. Nobody has trained us to listen. You have to retrain yourself. So choose a time of day and really focus that you are going to hear every word that is coming to you. And it can be from an individual that you live with, it could be at your work, whatever. And you might choose a half hour. And you absolutely allow yourself, I want to hear the words. I want to hear the words and listen for the words. And if it helps you, this is something I do when I work individually with people, is I'm writing down the words that I'm hearing, because those words are creating the truth that I need to understand about what that person's heart is saying to them. And so begin to retrain yourself. And I say you'll need to retrain because if you're really listening, it's going to be a little bit tiring at first. And that's because we live in a world of neglecting the words of others, not listening to them, ignoring them, believing they don't matter, or when they're speaking, we're thinking. So retrain yourself to listen. And then as you begin to listen, then you can ask yourself, okay, what from those words is my heart asking me about how I love myself? And it could be indicating to you a belief that you have, a belief system, a way that you view something in the world. And once you see that, then you can begin to make a choice about whether to continue it or not. So that's an exercise I encourage all of you to begin to do. And then as you do it for a short period of time, you'll be able to increase the time and then increase the time until that's all you do, is you stand and you hear everything. And then as you hear from what you perceive as outside of you, then your heart gets this message. Oh, he wants to hear this. He wants to know. And so more and more will come to you. And as I say, but the way you perceive it, some will be inner voice, some will be what you think of as your outer voice. It's all the same thing, but the inner voice will get louder. So I'm going to turn it over to Marilyn.
Chris is talking about listening to everything that's happening around you and understanding that everything outside is inside. What I want to have, the way I want to approach listening is, do you listen to yourself when you speak? And what I mean by that is, we complain about our lives sometimes. Somebody says, how are you feeling? And you say, oh, I'm all achy. Or you look at yourself in the mirror and you say, oh my goodness, I can't believe that I'm a little swollen, or I look older, or whatever. Every thought, if you learn to listen to yourself, you'll catch yourself creating a negative energy of thought. It's so important to become aware. That's the first step of how you speak to yourself, let alone to anyone around you, because that is the creation of what you are going to experience in the next minute, the next hour, the next day. It doesn't matter. But if you get up and you start making a point of focusing on positivity, it's a beautiful day, the sun is shining, I'm going to have a great day. Or, that type of different, or pay attention when you look in the mirror and focus on your beauty, focus on your strength, appreciate the strength of your body, whether it is simply your fingers on your hands or the weight of the world is on your shoulders, but instead say, I am strong, I can handle it. It changes the energy. And then listen to yourself when you speak to another person. And that happens constantly. Those who have active family lives at home, kids running around, spouses, how you speak to one another, how you speak to your spouse or your child, not only impacts that person, but it impacts yourself. Always try to make the conscious effort to be gentle, to be loving, to be kind. And if you don't have something nice to say, wait, hold it back. Formulate your concern in a positive way. We're not going to go through life smiling. I had a boss once when I was at the beginning of my employment career. I was a newlywed, and every day he'd come in and go, I'm great, I'm great. And it was nice on one hand. And on the other hand, I knew he was going through a divorce and having a custody battle for his children. So it was insincere, but he was trying to convince himself that life was great. I am not saying that's what you need to do. I'm saying be in your truth and say, you know what? I hope today will be a good day. And that is all that's sufficient enough to change that energy, because when you're struggling, you go day to day to day. Sometimes you go hour by hour or minute by minute, but we all have in our lives challenges and we can't ignore them. You can't talk them away, but you can live moment to moment like, oh, I don't have a headache right now. I'm feeling really well. And pay attention to the positive rather than, oh my goodness, I woke up with such a headache today. Even after it's gone, we talk about negativity. We approach our world criticizing and complaining. And believe me, we all do that. But to turn that around, listen to how you are going to react, even in the physical, to the change in the dialogue that you have every day. Listen to yourself. What you're going to find that as you change the way you speak, the way you change that, people around you will reflect that back. So imagine working with an employee that you don't get along with, but instead of always feeling like you're about to be attacked and you have your guard up, say, hi, let's have a great day today. Let's work as a team, or whatever it is that has to be said to make that negative energy just not be acknowledged. That person, after maybe a day, maybe a week, it doesn't matter, they're going to start responding differently. Everything changes, relationships change. You can improve your marriage. You can raise your children in a more positive environment. There's so much that listening to your words, listening to how you speak about yourself and the world around you can change your life.
I'd like to jump in on that for a second, Mare. You know, one of the tools I think we've talked about before, but I want to reiterate here, is what Marilyn's talking about is, when you face a challenge, how to best speak about it. And one of the ways that I teach is to think about yourself as a scientist. Because what a scientist does is explains everything factually. So, there was a beaker full of blue liquid and there's a beaker full of red liquid. We put those beakers together and those beakers interacted. They don't even say, those beakers exploded all over the room, right? Very factually. And so when you are needing to speak about something difficult, the best way to help your heart bring down the chaos, the drama that's created by using difficult words, very filled with, oh my God, my mother drives me crazy, but I'm using very mild words for what some people will say. Talk factually, be honest with yourself. This is, as Marilyn says, about being in your truth. But when you just recount what happened, my mother gave me a phone call. She expressed that she was very upset with me about X, and I felt angry or I felt sad. That's the way a scientist would explain it. Here's the way most often on earth it gets explained. You can't believe it. My mom called me again. She's terrible. She's horrible. She said all this stuff about how I am. It drives me crazy. I don't want to talk to her, right? That's what we do. And you know what happens for your heart? All of that energy is being expressed into your heart, into your life. So by thinking about what's going to come out of your mouth and choosing words that are neutral, it is much calmer then to navigate your life creation, because that moment with your mother is your life creation. It's coming out of your heart because your heart is trying to get you to look at something. And for some reason, it ignites you. But your only way to hear it is to lessen all the energy and drama around it, and then bring it down, be honest with yourself. That makes me angry. But then, okay, heart, what do I need to look at to understand what my heart is trying to share with me through my mother?
We have a great question. Why is our tendency as humans to focus on the negative and to naturally default to drama? I believe that it is a way to draw attention to oneself. We want sympathy. We want people to surround us, put their wagons in a circle around us and protect us. We're seeking something outside of ourselves that really we have already within. We were raised this way as well. It is each generation that improves upon the one prior. So yes, we do focus on the negative because we take the positive for granted. You wake up and you're feeling well, you don't even think about it. But imagine if you wake up and you're not feeling well, and the first thing you are aware of is, I'm not feeling well today, and then you tell people. That's an example. Imagine waking up and feeling great and acknowledging it, celebrating it, talking about it. I feel great today. I slept great. My body feels strong today. I had a very healthy breakfast. Whatever it is, we don't do that. You turn on the TV, you watch the news. What is it focused on? It's on the negative. You watch drama shows. What do they focus on? They focus on human pain. That's what draws us. It would be great to just watch comedies all the time, laugh, enjoy, change that focus so that you can have a more positive outlook. Turn on music, turn off the TV, stop watching the shows where people are in pain, they're dying, they're being shot at, whatever it is, if that is a part of what you are struggling with. I do want to talk about something else while we're on the subject. I want to talk about how some of us are more introverted and some of us are more extroverted. The extroverts among us talk a lot, right? I don't know you people individually, most of you. You know yourselves. Are you a person who comes and meets with a friend and just talks and talks and talks and talks? Or are you a person who will be with your family or your friends and tend to be more silent? I am the silent one. What I had to force myself to do in my silence is to speak. And for an introvert, that has proven sometimes to be challenging. So it's very interesting that I believe that the most important thing you can do as an introvert is at least once a day, tell somebody something they don't know about you. Open your heart and let somebody know who you are. The smallest thing could be a stranger, could be in the grocery store, could be your partner, could be a friend. But coming out of that comfort zone of silence is a way for your voice to get stronger and to be heard. Now, on the other hand, if you are a person who speaks and speaks, what are the odds that you're really hearing what's happening around you? What are the odds that you can listen to what is being told to you, which is your heart, but you're overwhelming it with your words? Do you not want to hear what is being said? Do you want to bully your way through the world? I had an experience at work the other day where I was meeting with an employee who had sent an email complaining about his boss. So I met with this employee and his boss, who he complained with, to find peace between them. And the employee got so agitated, he started yelling and yelling and yelling. And even when I spoke, and I was the manager of both of them, he wouldn't hear me. And I kept saying, let's find a middle ground. Let's sit down and talk. And he was just screaming and screaming. And over again, he kept saying, I'm going to resign. I'm going to resign. I have to be honest with you, that was a challenging experience for me, because in my heart, I knew he didn't mean it, but he was so overwhelmed with his own self-preservation, his protection, his anger, his rage, and it almost looked like it would become physical, that after he said it 3 or 4 times, I just looked at him and I said, and I accept your resignation. Because I was paying attention to what he was saying, and he was unhappy. And that was his way of expressing it. We will find ourselves in circumstances in this world where it's uncomfortable. But if you listen and if you let yourself hear, and if you can be heard, your response will come to the solution that is needed in that moment. But it's a challenge. I had no intention of firing this employee, but he created this environment that was absolutely untenable, could not work with him anymore. Listening and speaking, very, very important. Pay attention to your words, because they will have an impact, as they did for this gentleman. He would not stop screaming and saying he was going to resign. The reality was that he then resigned. Any further questions? You can't speak. Sandra.
I'm just wondering if written words have the same impact, or they should be listened to or read with the same attention. Like when you read something, or when somebody writes something to you, it's the same way.
Yeah, I mean, I fundamentally believe that no moment of our life is an accident as it presents itself. It is a moment of our heart we have manifested because we're asking a question, and that answer can come to us through voice, through song. I mean, I'm in the grocery store, I don't know in other parts of the world, but music plays, and I always will listen. What are the words? What's happening? Because it's not an accident that I'm listening to them at that moment. So yes, I believe the written word is equal to every other way we are communicated to in our world. I mean, I even think every symbol of animals that we see, birds might fly in a certain weird moment. It doesn't matter. They're all communications to us. Kavita, do you have a question? Oh, she looked like she raised her hand. The only thing I would add while we wait, if someone has a question, is And be aware, just like as Marilyn was just recounting that story with that employee, that was filled with her heart and the other employee's heart, hearing something in a very powerful way. Obviously, this man's tone mattered. His level of rage mattered. There's a lot going on there. And I would encourage people, no matter what the moment is, you don't have to understand it right then. You can do two things. One, I often will, in a sense, catalog to myself, oh, why was I hearing that? Why did that happen that way? And then I'll spend time throughout the day revisiting to ask my heart, what is it about that? What's the message that my heart is trying to get to me? So, you don't have to, in a sense, understand it in the moment. But when you acknowledge to your heart, okay, heart, I hear you. You're trying to reach me with a message. Then the heart doesn't have to escalate to the kind of scene that Marilyn was talking about. So acknowledge to your heart, I'm listening. I hear you. Spend time maybe later in that day or another day going back to that moment to understand it is one thing to do. And the other is, if you don't understand it, you can ask your heart. You can say, heart, I know, like take that instant that Marilyn was talking about. I know I hear you. You are trying to reach me with a very powerful message. I want to understand it more clearly. So I want to ask you for clarification and just put out, in the next 24 hours from, and if it would be my spouse because I live with him, he talks to me a lot, or it might be a close friend who talks to me a lot. And I would then very much listen to them to get the clarification. So that's what I would encourage you to do, to become a very active participant in listening. And as in the corollary is speaking, because as you speak, you listen to how you speak, and then you pay attention and make new choices as a result of that.
So when this event happened, I don't have to tell you that, of course, I walked out thinking, what was I supposed to learn from that experience? What was I hearing? What was going on? And it did take a while for me to figure it out because it's very emotional. I was a little shaken by it. It was unexpected. But the gentleman kept repeating himself over and over again, I don't feel respected. He was also a man in his 60s, and his boss was a man in his 30s. So he was struggling with having to report to somebody much younger than he was. So I took all of these things into account, and I started to apply it to my life. And when you apply it to your life, it doesn't fit like a puzzle piece in that moment. It fits like a puzzle piece to that puzzle that's sitting on the other table over there. So for me personally, he kept saying, I'm not respected. Nobody hears me. Of course, he's screaming. We had no choice but to hear him, but I'm disrespected. I'm disrespected. And I started to ask myself, where am I disrespected in my life? And I did have an answer that came up to me that was very powerful. It's in my relationship with my own mother, as a matter of fact, to show you the variety of opportunity it is to learn about something happening, and Z brings it to your attention. It doesn't have to be exactly parallel an experience to what you have. So it was fascinating. He was also dealing with the fact that he was working with much younger people. I am struggling. I just had a birthday. I am a generation older than almost everyone I work with. It is an interesting thing to have this man screaming this at me, and I'm dealing with this inside my own heart. So just be aware that everything has a message. You just need to be patient and be willing to hear, listen to what that message is, and then take action on it. And the action should be an action based from a loving place, from a healing place, to fix it, to realize the negative self-talk we have, and to make a choice, a conscious awareness that I don't want to think about myself that way anymore. I don't want to react that way anymore. I don't want to be that way anymore. It's a fascinating thing because it begins to change the way you are as a human to other humans and to yourself. And with that, we will begin our meditation. All right, if you're not muted, I ask that you mute now, please, and make yourself really comfortable. All right, close your eyes, sit in a comfortable space. Inhale deeply, hold it for as long as you can, and when you're ready, exhale from the depth of your body. We do this 3 times. Inhale deeply, hold it, expand your lungs and hold this energy. And then exhale. Inhale deeply one more time and let it all go. And today I want you to imagine that you are in a beautiful, beautiful field of flowers. I want you to feel the sun, the warmth of the sun upon you. And you're standing there. And the flowers are of all the colors that you can imagine. And they all give off a magnificent sweetness that you can inhale and take in. And the sky is blue. The sun is shining. And you cannot believe how beautiful this environment is. You can hear the birds chirping, and there are butterflies dancing around the field, and perhaps a chipmunk or two. And feel the earth beneath your feet, and feel the universe beyond, and feel the flow of energy. And as you look around, notice a structure in the middle of the field that you hadn't noticed before, but just know your heart has just brought it forth. It has the shape of a pyramid, but it is of whatever material your heart brings you. It can be made of stone, of wood, of metal, bricks, however you envision it. It is very welcoming, and it has a door that you can see. Follow the path to the door of this pyramid. Regardless of the size of the pyramid, whether it is huge or small, the experience we will have within is identical. For it is simply an illusion. Size is an illusion. I invite you on the count of 3 to open the door of this pyramid and enter. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Open the door and enter. And find yourself in a huge room. Again, no matter the size of the building, the room is large. And in the center of the room is a table. And there is a candle on the table, the only light that you are being offered now. Observe the candle. and walk around the table, for you notice on the other side is this staircase. And the staircase takes you up to the highest point of the pyramid. And together we will climb. I will count. You will take a step with each count. 1, 2. With every step you take, you feel yourself become ever larger. You feel the energy become ever stronger. 3, 4. Feel yourself expand. Feel yourself grow. 5, 6, 7. Feel the energies around you, within you. 8, 9. And at the 10th step, you will stand upon a platform right under the point of the pyramid. 10. Take that step and feel the energy of the universe enter the pyramid and enter your crown chakra and fill your body from the top of your head, exiting the bottom of your feet, down the stairs and into the ground below. Feel the flow of the energy from the universe come through the pyramid. Feel it fill the physical experience that you have in this lifetime, and feel the expanse of all that you are. It is here where you can ask any question, and all knowing will enter you. Whether you hear an answer today or tomorrow or next week, ask your question, ask many questions, and open your heart to know the truth. Learn to listen wherever the answers come from. Ask your questions as you flow the energy of all. It is so important to listen so that you will hear the truth, and it will come from the most varied areas of your world, from the mouth of your child to a stranger on the street, to coworker or your spouse. It matters not. Choose to hear the answers. Listen, and you will know. As Chris has said, it could come from the words of a song. The answers are there. But as we stand here on this platform, in this energy, I invite each of you to bring forth a person with whom you struggle, someone who says things you don't like to hear, someone perhaps you want to speak with. Bring them forth. Picture them standing before you. And let's begin by asking that person what you are here to learn from them. Listen, and you will hear. And now, tell them something you've been meaning to tell them, and speak from a place of love and acceptance and understanding. Share a piece of your heart. We have time for another. Bring forth another person as you let this one go with love. And invite another person with whom you hear things that they say about you that you feel dishonors you. And have them stand before you and ask them, what are you trying to learn? What are you here to understand? What are they trying to teach you? What does your heart need to hear? And then speak from your heart and respond. Not in anger, but in acceptance and understanding. Thank them for teaching you. Explain in peace and allow the exchange of positive energy. This space is your private space. This pyramid resides deep within your heart. You can visit it whenever you choose. You can place it anywhere where you prefer to be, whether it is on a beach or on top of a mountain. I chose a field of flowers. You choose for yourself, and do return here when you are challenged by someone else. Learn to listen to your own voice and listen to the voice of all, for that is you. But for now, we come down the steps. I invite you to step down those 10 steps at your own pace, whether you move slowly or quickly. And when you get to the bottom of the pyramid, the table with the flame, candle that is burning, will remain on to welcome you whenever you return. It is an eternal candle. It is your light, and it will always be lit and bright. And time to exit the pyramid. And today, back into the beautiful field of flowers. Feel the magnificence of the world, the magnificence of yourself, your strength, your spirit, all that you are, connected to heaven and earth in all moments, with the freedom and ability to choose to listen, to hear, to understand, and to create choices that will bring you to a place of great peace. And I invite you to return now to where you are sitting in your homes and open your eyes and welcome back and be the love that you are in all moments. Thank you for joining us this day. It is a joy to share this time.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Chris. Thanks,
Thank
Marilyn.
you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.